Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Just recording this video for the second time because YouTube, the app, for some reason does not connect with the mic that I'm using here. So I am here today to talk about carbon cranks, guys. They have their place in my opinion. They're great, I'm sure, on road bikes, maybe even gravel bikes, but questionable depending upon use on mountain bikes. I have a couple different bikes, as you may know if you follow my channel, and I'm guessing there's only a few of you. But I've got a Scott Spark, which is a down country / XC bike, which is rocking carbon cranks. And I recently had put together a propane Hugene because I was looking for something with a little more travel. And honestly, I use that bike for, I have my, that's my girlfriend's bike. So I initially got her an S-Works stump jumper, but if I'm being honest, it's a terrible climber. Sorry guys, excuse me. It's a terrible climber. I know I'm saying that from a person who has terrible fitness. But I would like to say that I'm a little active, and it's still quite the drudge. I don't know. It's quite tiring, basically, getting that thing up the hill. I probably was spoiled by my Scott Spark, and I get it. But it is also, again, functioning as a secondary bike for me and a bike for my girlfriend. And my girlfriend does not cycle nearly as much as I do. She's working a lot, and she's on her feet a lot, but cycling and walking a lot really don't necessarily benefit each other. Well, walking a lot doesn't necessarily benefit cycling much. And so, yeah, I built up the Hugene, which is, gosh, an amazing climber. I pretty much don't have to lock out like the Scott, and I can climb okay. It definitely does take a little more oomph than the Scott because of the fact that the suspension is moving and it's heavier, but the fact that the suspension does move helps with the climbs when you're going through technical terrain and the rocks break loose or whatever. But anyways, here to talk about carbon cranks. And the reason I keep looking to my left is because I have my carbon crank, which I'm going to show you in a second. Basically, I had the choice of going alloy versus carbon a while ago, and I decided just right off the top of my head, because I thought carbon was better, to go with carbon cranks. And I needed to be that weight weenie. I wanted the premium product. Spending money I technically shouldn't be spending, but I can spend. And I got the Rotor Kapic Carbon cranks. And if you go to places like Jensen, just the crank arms alone are about $370. And crank arms, just the crank arms, not the axle, not the chain ring or power meter, nothing else, just the crank arms, which I was kind of upset about having to eat that cost, but I was also over my head regarding stuff that should be lighter, wanted to be lighter. I need my bike to be lighter. And at the end of the day, for the Scott, I guess it was good. You know, it's an XC bike, and it's light, and I haven't had any issues with it. I've been very grateful, and knock on wood, it stays wonderful, other than the fact that I sent it off a cliff 2 days ago, like 25, 30 feet, but it's still fine. That's besides the point. As you can tell, I'm not the greatest rider. I just want to basically talk to the folks who ride trail, enduro, or who are starting to ride trail and enduro, more similar to me, and aren't as experienced, and just like buying the nicer things for their bikes, because for me, it's my only hobby. I don't really buy much else besides the TV. I drive a Prius. and I'm honestly, like, bikes are my splurge. But in this situation, yeah, this is my Kapic Carbon crank arm. You can see I'm not an engineer, so don't quote me about anything. But the carbon looks quite thin. I know it can be a very strong, rigid material, but I'm sure at the bottom here where the threads go in, there's a lot more composite material inside filling it through. And honestly, I've beaten up these guys pretty good, especially on my Scott Spark, since I've had that bike a lot longer and I've had that crankset a lot longer. But I don't know if it's because it was a freak accident or if maybe I had previously damaged these cranks somehow with a crack or something of that nature, or maybe it's a fucking, pardon my French, defect in manufacturing, but I doubt it. These are XC, more XC based cranks for a reason. And I think what happened was when I was riding at Rocky Peak a few days ago, I was, riding for the first time with a new group of people. Real nice guys, but they were fast, so I wanted to try to keep up with them. And heading down the trail and kind of getting my things together because I wasn't familiar with the trail end. I was either pedaling or I had dropped my left crank arm, like pedal pointing down, and there was just like a brief drop. It was like maybe a couple inches, maybe half a foot at the very most, but I don't think it was even that. But the trail's uneven, and I caught my left pedal. I'm guessing it's probably this scuff right here, as you can see, or somewhere around there, on something relatively solid. I would assume it's a rock or something of that nature. It is, the place I was riding was called Rocky Peak, so. And basically, with my pedal down, foot down, I believe what happened was basically the entire weight of my bike and myself basically went down on the pedal, which transferred itself to the crank arm and snap. And so, I ended up crashing, thankfully, just with a couple bruised ribs and scuffed up a little bit, but nothing terribly major. Did injure my foot a little bit because of that side, but it seems to be, for the most part, back to normal now. But I guess I kind of want to talk to the folks who are like me and just like buying the expensive stuff for the bikes. And in this situation, I can see why people are leaning towards 5-dev cranks, because you've still got the alloy, you've got really good stiffness. Yes, they're freaking expensive, but you don't have to go 5-dev. I'm still actually going to go. I contacted Rotor, and they don't have a crash warranty on their products, so I'm not getting any discounts. I'm not getting anything new. I'm not getting a free replacement. They literally said, oh, we've got a 24% off sale going on. You should take advantage of that. And so I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, I'm not buying another set of crank arms from you guys at $400 or whatever potential discount. That's just ridiculous. And for me, I don't race, so it doesn't make sense for me. Maybe it makes sense for somebody who competes regularly and they're really going for those times. But for me, especially for the sake of my trail riding and enduro riding, these are not it. And unfortunately, I am locked into their system because I have a power meter on my bike, which is rotor based, the splines. So I am getting another set of rotor cranks, but I am getting the Kapics in alloy, because I still do want to save a little bit of weight if possible. They're going to be stiffer. They're probably not going to break like this. They might bend. And yeah, I was looking at the Hawk cranks, which is, I think they're more enduro downhill based cranks, but as much as I talk about, oh, don't worry about saving weight, I don't want to increase my 100 grams to 200 grams. So yeah, I'm going to be running the Rotor Kapic alloy cranks, which requires me to buy another axle too, because the axle is a different length between the two types of cranks, which is also frustratingly annoying. But other than that, yeah, just wanted to appeal to you guys, and in case if you're kind of leaning towards carbon but you're not entirely sure, unless you're planning to use it for like some serious XC racing and you're not going to be riding as much trail or enduro or any of that stuff, maybe it's something you would, I would consider. But and if you race professionally, but if it's if you're just riding more casually like me, as a hobby, save yourself some money. Get something that's slightly heavier. At the end of the day, all it's going to really do is increase your fitness, and yeah, it'll be a little heavier, but if you really do ride regularly, at some point or another, you're probably not even going to realize or remember or know that, oh, it's slightly heavier at the end of the day. So, yeah, unless you need them. Yeah, don't buy them if you don't.